Welcome to Unemployed and Afraid, a podcast that explores the glorious mess of building your own business with the people doing it. I'm your host and fellow business builder, Kim Curtin. Thank you for being here. Let's get into some good, honest, small business chat. If you queued up this episode based on the title, you know what I'm about to tell you. It is a little story of fucking up, and I am sure you've had it yourself, a moment that just makes your heart sink, where something you've been working on has been lost, it hasn't worked out, or it just isn't what you dreamed it to be. So that you don't feel in any way alone in this experience, I am going to share one of my recent fuck ups with you. I, not too long ago, interviewed two incredibly smart, gutsy, kind, and inspiring women. Two women who are powerhouses in their industry, which just so happens to be my industry of podcasting. They are co-founders of Flight Studio, a global podcast media and technology company based in London, with their other co-founder being one Stephen Bartlett of Diary of a CEO global fame, amongst every other incredible achievement he's had, of course. But these two incredible women, Georgie and Christiana, agreed to come onto my show and share their story of first building their company together, Telling Media, which is a podcast media agency, and then having an opportunity and moving into building this new and very large business of Flight Studio. Their schedules are hectic, as you can imagine. It's pretty early in the Flight Studio journey. So, they're hiring and they are growing and they're building shows and they're just doing all this amazing work. And we're on opposite sides of the world. So we recorded over their morning coffees and my evening chamomile. And as you can imagine, again, given the scale of what these incredible humans are building, my interest in it, given that it is in my industry, and just my all-round passion for good preparation and good interview, I spent ages preparing for their interview. I do it with all of my guests, but I went down plenty of rabbit holes with this one, researching them as humans and as business owners and considering what would be the most supportive to them in the sharing of their stories on this pod and to the listeners hearing it. We went through the process, we recorded it, we, got along really well. I know Christiana personally, and so that was wonderful. This is the first time I was meeting her co-founder, Georgie, who is just as impressive as I expected. And we had a brilliant chat. It was a great, great session. We had, a couple of technical issues as it goes through, but that's like super normal when you're managing things on opposite sides of the world and through, just internet and technology and all that. We worked through all of it. I hung up from the chat feeling so proud of the conversation and so invigorated by it, like freaking stoked, just thinking that was possibly a dream interview for me, until I went to edit and package it together. So you can only laugh. Somehow, at some stage through this process, I must have bumped up the volume on my microphone. And my audio, just my audio only, the person who's meant to be running the interview properly, the whole way through it, it sounded like I was screaming. And it's not just a matter of turning down the volume in editing. When it's bumped up like that, it clips the audio at its peak. And so it just sounds like a weird, static, cut off, screaming mess. And hearing it back, I was like floored and so embarrassed and so upset by this mistake. The thought of these two incredible humans listening back to the show sounding anything less than perfect honestly made me feel physically ill. I was like, what the actual fuck am I going to do? Like, I can't very well re-record everything I said throughout it and make it sound natural. That's definitely something I thought of, but it's just silly. And there's no way I wanted to ask them to re-record given their schedules currently, and that it did take us a couple of months to get this one into the diary as it was. And there was just no way to not release this chat for you, because these two have so much insight to share with you and are so generous in the building of others and in sharing. Like, it's crazy and inspiring, and you just have to hear it. So even after recording, I'm padding for time here. So hang on, let me highlight this Excel spreadsheet here, which is my interviews and my release dates. I'm definitely padding here. I'm going to tell you the exact number. Yep, after recording 134 guest interviews, I fucked up a big one, big time. Now, as I've probably shared with you before, I currently do everything for this show myself. It's a cost saving measure to be able to keep creating it for you. I am fully independent. And because it ain't easy to make money from a show, let me tell you, but it's important for me to keep creating it and supporting you. And I love it. So I do everything end to end for the show myself right now, from booking and admin and preparation to the interview, to the editing, to the promotion, everything, right? I've developed all the basic skills that I need to get it as good as I can for you in editing. So after panic thinking and problem solving for like hours, spending loads of time on Google and YouTube and Reddit, which just got a little mean with their sound editing advice, I bit the bullet and I asked for some help. I reached out to my good friend Dom Evans, who runs ESA, which is an incredible audio production company, and practically begged him to take a look at the audio, no matter how much it was going to cost me. Because, like, side note, I really am the world's biggest tight ass when it comes to spending at the moment. Because, you know, business building in all its wonderful glory, we do have to consider this stuff. It's not always flush. So even making the decision to invest in fixing this was an emotional journey for me. But sometimes in the midst of a fuck up, you get a gift in the form of a human. And Dom agreed to take a look quickly, and he worked his magic, getting it as close to perfect as possible. And he did it as a favor to me, which, like, to be honest, gave me a little bit of a tear that day and has given me a little bit of a tear since, because I was in quite the state about this, and it is not like lost on me how incredible it is to have a fuck up like this and then have someone there to support. The business friends you develop on this journey, like they're the ones who show up for you when you desperately need help, and they are a joy. And Dom is absolutely one of those people. So as an aside, if you ever need the most brilliant attention to detail, sound design and editing and production, please Google ESA, EARSAY, and get in touch with Dom. I'll put the link in the show notes too for you. So long story short, this incredible episode will actually see the light of day next week, or on Tuesday, the 27th of August, if you're listening to this in a week other than when it is dropped. So you'll be able to go back and find the episode and give it a listen and tell me if you can notice my giant fuck up. I have such a fear of disappointing my incredible guests every week, and Christiana and Georgie, given their level of attention and knowledge in podcasting, really hit a nerve for me in my fear of disappointing and providing them anything less than perfection for their story, especially as they understand the medium so intimately and know what a good podcast should sound like. And so, although it's only a small thing in the grand scheme of possible business fuck ups, it really matters to me. And fuck ups just happen to everyone. Sometimes you got to move forward with a less than ideal product anyway. And if by some chance Stephen Bartlett also listens to either this episode or more likely the one that's actually about Flight Studio, dear God, I hope he doesn't judge me too harshly. Fuck, that thought just hits me right in the panic feels. I've sworn a lot in this episode, so I apologize, but it is I'm having a moment with this. So on that note of panicking about who might listen to this, I'm going to wrap this up and just say I hope that is, a share that's supportive of you. Like honesty, always sharing the journey, always. It's all on the mission to help us keep going and growing, and knowing that weird, crazy experiences where you feel like everything's just gone to hell happen more often than not with varying scale. If you ever want an ear for your fuck up story, here I am swearing again, drop into my DMs at Unemployed and Afraid on Instagram. I would love to connect more with you. As always, thank you for choosing to listen to this show and for showing up for yourself to build the business and brand and career of your dreams, whatever they may be. Thank you for listening to Unemployed and Afraid, the podcast for small business builders with your host, me, Kim Curtin. If you love it, you can say thanks with a star rating and a review. And of course, join the community on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Find us at Unemployed and Afraid wherever you're hanging out, and I'll see you there.